Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this first Future of Tech for the fall 2025 season. Welcome to the Ignite Hub. My name is Eduardo Novoa. I am the Technical Training Development Coordinator, and I'm joined here by my colleague, Anthony Fiora, our Lab Coordinator. He is helping us with all the technology, and he'll also be monitoring the chat for Zoom. So welcome to our in-person attendees and also to our virtual attendees. Like I said, this is our first Future of Tech for the fall 2025 season. We're quite excited. We have a really good lineup for the season. And to kick things off, we have a great speaker and a great topic today. So today we have Jefferson Stovall, who's a technologist, founder, and thought partner who helps founder-led businesses harness emerging technologies, especially AI, without losing the unique qualities that make them special. Through his consultancy, Captain Tomorrow, he supports small, ambitious teams in navigating AI adoption, systems design, and implementation with a focus on clarity, alignment, and sustainable progress. With over 15 years of experience leading cross-functional teams and building tech organizations across sectors like financial tech, educational tech, health tech, and the public sector, Jefferson brings deep fluency in AI and machine learning, digital transformation, and cloud-native systems. He served as a fractional CTO, advisor, and hands-on builder for values-driven startups and mission-aligned ventures. So please help me welcome Mr. Jefferson Stovall to.
There we go. Hi, everyone. And first of all, thank you all for having me here. I'm really excited to do this. As I said when we were doing the orientation, I've lived in Montgomery County for about 3 years now. I did the thing where you migrate from DC after you have a kid, and we love it. And I'm looking forward to getting more involved with Montgomery College and what we're doing here. And the technology community here. As Eduardo said, I've spent a good deal of my life as a technologist, mainly building and leading software teams in various firms and consultancies in the DC area. A couple of years ago, when ChatGPT hit the scene, I quit what was a relatively stable and well-paying job to found Captain Tomorrow. Captain Tomorrow has evolved a little bit, but what we do is we help organizations, mostly founder-led SMBs, figure out how to use emerging technologies like AI and VR, and everything like that, without losing what makes them unique, and making sure that they're able to keep their unique voice in what they're doing with those. Another outcome of Captain Tomorrow has been my other startup, called Adaptiverse. Along with my co-founder, who's the education lead, Adaptiverse uses AI to build lessons for autistic students. What we found is that lesson adaptation can take literally hours, and we can do it in seconds with AI. If that's of interest to you, let me know afterwards, and would love to talk about it. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to work on prompts. And I'm sorry, before we move on, I've got this short link up here, and that goes to a page I've set up that has all the prompts that we're going to talk through, all of the slides we're going to talk through, all of the content, and it's going to help you build a prompt library, because that's one of the things we should be doing now, starting now. So if you can get there, great. If you can't get there, I'm not going to take the link down or anything. It's going to be there for you. Might even add some things to it. Awesome. I see people clicking away over there. All right. I think everybody's had a chance to look, and if not, let us know. But Anthony, if we can move on to the next slide, please. So I'm really excited about this conversation we're going to have today, because I know there's a lot of frustration out there with AI tools and AI outcomes. And I think we found some really effective ways to make these tools useful for you, right? So I'd love to see a show of hands, and I'm sorry I can't see the Zoom, but Anthony can let me know if there's anything exceptional happening there. Who's had AI give you a perfect response one day and garbled crap the next? Not great stuff, sort of, yeah. Who spent more time editing AI output than it takes to write it from scratch? A little bit? All right. I, for one, have sometimes wondered why my colleagues get better results than I do. And what I've figured out is that there's a consistency issue here, right? So the tools that we're using when we use AI platforms, they perform sort of in the opposite manner of what we're used to with technology, right? What I mean by that is we're used to inputs going into a computer, outputs coming out on a consistent basis. These tools, however, don't work like that. They're non-deterministic. So what we need to do, and we're all sort of learning how to do this now, right? What we need to do is come up with a new way of working. And that's what we're going to introduce today. So let's go on to the next slide, please. So I do prompt lab on a number of different levels, beginner, intermediate, advanced. We're going to live in the beginner space today. Intermediate is where we start to get into prompt chaining, a little bit of workflow, but consistent quality. And then advanced is where we are actually building contextual architectures and ways of using the same information over and over again. Can you click for me, Anthony? One more time. There we go. So what we're going to work on today is the Spark framework. The Spark framework is something that I've come up with, Captain Tomorrow, and it's a repeatable formula that's super simple, takes an extra 30 seconds, but it gives you much more consistency. We're going to add context through examples. This is really the key part, because what we're learning now is that prompting is very important, but context is also very important, because otherwise the AIs will pull the least common denominator in terms of writing and outcomes, as opposed to simply allowing you to write in your own voice and everything. We're going to work through 3 essential prompts, and we're going to learn why AI is not the same as Google. And we are going to, I hope, start building your first prompt library, because that is the way that we can get more and more consistent results out of these things. So let's go to the next slide. We're going to talk for a few minutes about what prompt in context with persistence means. We're going to look at what it takes to start a prompt library, the Spark framework, and then we're going to do those prompts, right? We're going to work through them together. One of the reasons I set up the web page there is so that if you want to follow along, sorry about that. If you want to follow along on your computer or your phone, that makes it very easy for you to do that, because you can open up the headlines there. You'll see the content. You'll be able to copy the prompt, and you can drop it in to your AI of choice. Welcome. All right. So we'll talk about some of the challenges with AI, hallucinations being the main one, what responsible prompting looks like. There are ethics and boundaries we want to reflect. We'll look at what we've learned, talk about what's next, and take some questions. Some quick ground rules. I will queue for questions relatively frequently throughout the presentation. If you can hold off on clicking through the proceeding slides on the web page, that would be lovely, though I'm sure some of you have already clicked into them, and that's fine. I do move fast. If you feel like you missed something, or you didn't understand, or you didn't get a question answered, my contact information is plastered everywhere. So please don't hesitate to follow up with me. I do respond. I love talking about this stuff. You might have a question that's actually out of scope for today. And if that's the case, I'll note it, and we'll find some time either immediately after this, or we'll grab some time to do a phone call or something. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And there we go. So talk through some terms really quick here. LLM is large language model. That's the brain behind tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and everything. Our context window is probably the most important term on here. It's basically how much information can the AI process in one turn, right? So if you remember when computers had something called RAM, I've had to start saying that recently. It's basically RAM. You can think of it as the same way. Persistence. So as things move out of the context window, the AI forgets them. That's why you have that moment of, wait a minute, didn't we just talk about this? Why don't you remember this? Well, it's because it just no longer is in the context window anymore. So when you start to pull up artifacts or canvases or gems, Claude uses artifacts, ChatGPT uses canvases, and Gemini uses gems. Those are documents that are persistent. Those do not move out of the context window. So if you're building a memo or an SOP or some document like that, you want to use that tool within these platforms in order to keep track of what you're getting, right? Because that'll allow you to keep iterating on it. Prompt libraries, it's just your collection of prompts. Hallucinations is when the AI confidently tells you something that is incredibly wrong, right? Like when my 5-year-old recently told me that his friend was allergic to meat, who is Hindu and doesn't eat meat for religious reasons, right? That was very entertaining. As for the concepts here, the main one I want you to focus on is verbosity. These systems are tuned to give you a lot of content because that has the best chance of making you happy, right? And that's the other thing to keep in mind when using these. These systems are tuned to make you happy, not necessarily to give you the best, most accurate outputs. Verbosity gets in the way of those accurate outputs, and we're going to talk about ways to manage that here. You don't have to memorize these things, just know that they exist. I'm going to move on to the next slide, Anthony. And so what we're doing now is we're typing vague request, help me write an email about this project, getting generic responses. There's no consistency, no method, and no improvement, and getting lost in the outputs. This is my problem because I massively ADHD. So if you give me 500 words, I'm going to read all of them and go down all the rabbit holes. If you can click again, please, Anthony. So with the Spark framework, what we're going to be able to do is give the AI some clear context with actual examples, get you to sound like yourself on your best day, save what works and build a system, and reduce editing time significantly. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying that this is going to do your work for you. It's going to help you get your work done, right? But you still need to review the outputs. I work with a lot of agencies, creative agencies, political affairs agencies. The main thing I tell them, the main message I tell them is you never put something through an AI and then send the output to a client without at least getting 2 or 3 eyes on it, right? So don't ever trust the AI, just use it. Get what you need out of it. I don't trust my 5-year-old to give me accurate information, but he sure is entertaining, right? So, all right, let's go on to the next one, please. So let's talk about prompt libraries because I want you to start taking notes right now. This is mine, and it's fairly complex. I have a lot of categorization. I have AI categorizing AI prompts. It's very meta. It's fine. Can you click again for me, Anthony? What I want you to start with is whatever is accessible to you. Zero friction. That may be a Word document. That may be a Google document. That may be Apple Notes on your phone. Just start recording these things and taking notes on how they work and how they don't work. And that way you'll be iterating and getting better and better outputs as you move through. All right, let's go to the next slide, talk about the Spark framework. So this is what we've developed. And to give you some background, beyond working on workflows and business use cases, the most intensive time I've spent developing new prompts was for Adaptiverse, which is the other startup I'm running. And if you think about the use case there, right, it's not niche, but scoped down very tightly, right? And it has to be very safe. Building the prompt that drives the AI output for these lessons that are geared towards a marginalized population took 8 months. It took 8 months of prompt engineering. In addition to the API work and all the back-end work, it was just 8 months of my co-founder and I spending time trying to get the prompting right so we can get consistent, safe, usable outputs. So that's where Spark comes from. Hit the button for me. So situation, we're going to want to talk about what we're doing, because that's going to ground the AI. And you'll see exactly what that means in a minute. Next one, please. Persona. Who should the AI be? What are you acting as? How am I using you? And I'll explain why that works and why that's so critical, I think, in our first prompt. Let's move on to the next one, action. Verbs are one of the most powerful ways you have to steer these things. You can get legitimately different outputs based on the action verb that you're using. So write is going to give you a different response than build, right? So I want to write an email, or do I want to build an email? Well, if it's going out to 100 people, I want to build the email. I want to work through the concepts. I want to think about it a little bit more. I want to get more thoughtfulness in there. And what I want the AI to do is challenge me a little bit as we're going through it, right? Let's do the next one. Result, exactly what you want. So this is the format you want. Brief description of to-list, bullet points. What's one that I did? Marketing speak, but not like it sounds like it's from a used car dealer. I literally wrote that this morning, actually. And then let's do the next one. The key example. Sorry, y'all, I just need to, there we go. The key example. This is when you bring in the stuff that you've written or the examples that you want to mimic. And part of the reason that we're in that beginner layer today is we're just going to focus on cutting and pasting. We're not going to try to build a Notion database that it pulls from and everything. We're just going to start using our own examples from our own work. So let me pause there before we move into the prompts. Do I have any questions or thoughts or comments so far? Yeah. Can AI be used for resume building? Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Claude. Yeah. What's your name? Precious. I'm Jefferson. You know that. Precious, I actually have an entire presentation on using AI for resume and job searching that I will be happy to share with you and talk through with you if you'd like. Yeah, you got it. Anyone else? Any other questions? Cool. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's look at our first prompt here. All right, summarize this passage in a single sentence that captures its core idea. This is what makes me crazy about the internet. I searched for summarization prompts and I got this. This is a terrible prompt. This is what 80% of like the prompt repositories out there and everything give you, right? So give me 2 clicks, please, Anthony. When we apply the Spark framework, this is what it ends up looking like. Now it's a lot more text, but you're going to know what you need to do. This takes literally 30 to 45 more seconds to write. And so let's go to the next one, because we'll break it down. All right, so why does this actually matter? The situation tells AI who needs the summary. Your team's not generic. This tells the AI that you're going to talk to a group of people as opposed to it talking to you. You immediately set the context in a much more valuable way for the AI. Persona. All right, business communication expert. What is this? Why do we care about that? It's going to define the language we get. So we're not going to get academic language. We're not going to get slang. We're going to get professional language. So there's a really important reason why persona is so important. Does anyone know why these things sound so human? Do we know why that is exactly? So it's because they have so much human written information in them. And that is one of the challenges, right? That's the conversation about copyright, have these systems appropriated information inappropriately, obviously out of scope for today. But the reason they can sound human is because they're trained on literally billions of human written data points. So it's noise. It's very noisy data, right? So by saying, we want you to act as a business communications consultant, it doesn't have to guess. It knows, right? We're telling it. It can go ahead and scope down and ignore the information it has about sounding like a skateboarder, can ignore the information it has about sounding like a teenager or a 5-year-old, and it can write as a business communication expert. It's going to be smarter, you're going to go through fewer iterations, and it's going to be closer to what you need. Let's see. Result parameters. You remember I talked about verbosity? This 15 to 25 words is going to keep it from going on and on for page after page after page, right? And again, I have this, it makes me crazy, actually. In many of these things I say to AI, and I mainly use Claude, I say concise, brief, simple, short, to try and keep those things from giving me so much language and so many words that I just can't filter through it all. Key example, trains AI on the organization's communication style. Here you're giving it exactly the output you want, right? An example of that. One of the things that these AIs are best at is mimicry. So when you can give it information that you want it to mimic, what's even better is if you say something here like, the summary used business language and had strong verbs and was straight to the point. It'll get even more on point there. All right. Any questions about the summary prompt here? Yes.
Okay, the only AI that I've used so far is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And every time I put a prompt, it may be different depending on what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that we go through all those breakdowns and literally type in all those details to get out the best results, or?
You will, if you take the time to do it, you will get better results.
Okay.
Now, do I do it every time?
Right.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
So that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
If this is to help us build that one perfect sentence, or literally put all those pieces in there to pull it.
So if we go back to that use case I was talking about before, where we're like building a memo or a document or a synopsis or something, when we know that we are going to go through multiple terms, and it's not like, sometimes I'll just be like, what is the name of that app that I found the other day that's for kid blah, blah, right? Like, just spit that out on me. But if we're gonna build a document, starting with the Spark framework is going to help us maintain the through line good iteration that we need to, because the whole point of this is that it scopes down what the AI has to consider. So that multi-turn conversation is going to go much more quickly and be much less painful by using this. Does that help? Yeah. Awesome. Anyone else? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I made it up. It's my idea. Yeah. I think you came in a minute late. Happy to look at a couple of the earlier slides with you as well. But yeah, the idea about the Spark framework is that I've just worked with these things at an intensity level, at a deep intensity level for so long that I've started to understand both what best practices make sense, what best practices don't. And the key is the context at the end. That's really the piece that I think everybody talks about prompting, everybody talks about workflows. A lot of people talk about agentic AI. If you do nothing else with that framework, but you start putting examples and context into what you are trying to get out, it's immediately going to improve your outcomes. Anyone else? Cool. Let's move on to the next one, please, Anthony. All right, so this is actually something I do a lot. Pretty much any call I have, I record. partly because my brain is a rusty sieve these days. And so recall is really helpful. But also partly because it makes it so much quicker because I have different prompts to run against a transcript to figure out what the different outcomes are. Identify all dates and person names mentioned in the text, and then you attach the text. Fine, but not very good. Can you give me 2 clicks, please, Anthony? So this is what it ends up looking like, right? Your situation here, what you're specifically looking for, 2 separate lists, ambiguous references. We're going to go a little bit deep on the question mark. Create 2 separate lists in a canvas. You see me using those persistent documents here. Dates and people. This is what I'm looking for. These are the different ways that they can be formatted depending on how they were mentioned. Let's go to the next one, please. So we're using, what I really like about this one is not even necessarily the Spark framework itself, but that we're using a simple command to help with ambiguity, which is going to get us better outcomes. So again, going back to what to remember about these things, they're tuned to make you happy, right? That's where hallucinations come from, because saying, I don't know, does not really make you happy. They don't then get the billions in venture dollars that they're looking for. The model goes, yeah, I don't know. So it's going to give you an answer whether it wants to or not. Unless you tell it, that's okay. So that's why we're going to go, if you don't know something, if you can't pick something out with a certain level of clarity, go ahead and mark it with the question mark, right? And so the question mark allows us to say, all right, I still want the information. You don't have to give it to me perfectly, but I do need you to tell me when you're not clear about it, right? And so what happens there is you're able to then go, okay, these things are marked as unclear, right? So I can check them. A 16-minute transcript, you're still saving an enormous amount of time, right? And you're ensuring a greater level of accuracy because you are asking it to hand it off to you, right? Don't worry about it if you can't figure it out. Just give me what you can figure out, and I'll take it from there. This is one of the things I figured out that most improved sort of the follow-up from my calls. Because once I realized I could just tell it, well, tell me if you're unclear, and I'll take it from there. I got a lot better outputs, and I got a lot more outputs, but I was able to parse them very quickly. Honest uncertainty is better than confident mistakes. It's a great line. I should have remembered that. Any questions about this breakdown for the information extraction? Cool. We'll move on to the next one. Creative story generation. Okay, this is mostly fun. I kind of wanted to challenge myself on this one. So I started looking up creative story prompts. And like, sure, fine, right? This works for whatever. But if we can click twice, we have additional context. And I think this is one of those times when you would sort of go, okay, it actually does make a ton of sense to use the Spark framework because this is going to be a multi-turn thing. I do want to sort of figure this out. And we'll move on to the breakdown, please, Anthony. So the typical, right, situation, persona. A couple things here. One, Neil Gaiman, very famous sci-fi author, one of my favorites, prolific. There's a ton of information out there on him. There's a ton of information about what he's written, what he said, interviews, etc. That's going to play to my advantage because that means the AI is going to have a ton of information on him, right? Now, if I go niche and I go with Marcos Close, I think that's how you say his name. I believe that it's German. He's not written much, but it's been very good. He's a fairly new author. AI is not going to have information on him, right? Because the AI's gone out there and sucked up so much of the information on the internet, but he's just not out there. It's a similar problem that we have with the Adaptiverse app. We know that moving to Spanish from English is going to be easy. We know that moving to Welsh from English, which is, believe it or not, something we're being asked for, is not going to be easy, simply because there's not much Welsh language information out there, right? So the other thing here is the situation for my writing group. This got me some really cool outcomes when I ran it a few times, because I ran all these against different passages and everything. So having said that, some of the runs gave me study questions at the end. It just said, oh, since you're doing this in a group, maybe these are the discussion points you want to bring to the group, not just the actual story itself, but also, hey, this seems like something that might be of value to you. Let's see. I also just really loved the quote here. It's totally my jam. And the AI can really do a good job of like mimicking the tone and the feeling and the style of these things. Any questions about the creative breakdown?
The more you use AI and the more you are being friendly to it, like you
Yeah.
appreciate it. Would it respond? Would it give you more information according to your kindness, like, or that doesn't exist?
More information.
Like more information, like more. Would it be like kindness to you? Like would it mimic you?
Yeah.
Would it give? Would it be more in your favor if you treat it more nicer?
Yeah. So yes. Well, at least this used to be true, because there used to be a lot of conversation like, oh, should we say please and thank you because it's taking up AI brain space. It's fine, y'all. It's not. Quantifiably, with early models, it was proven that politeness got you more accurate outputs. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that is true for current models. I simply haven't seen data about it. The other side of that coin is I was talking to someone at the gym about AI the other day, which when your brain is oxygen deprived, more challenging than you expect. And they said, oh, well, is that right? Should I say please and thank you? Well, I'm sorry, they said, are you scared of the robots taking over? And I said, well, I always say please and thank you when I'm using these things. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to call you. We need to talk. So I still do, partly because I don't want to lose my humanity. I like to, right? But it is up for debate as to the necessity of it. So, and then, yeah.
That put in the author's name, depending on how long they've been around, how much information is on the internet,
Yeah.
and kind of mimic their voice to create your own story, which I also find a little scary because if it's going to give you this short story in this author's voice, it's not really you. So how do you deal with the ethical part of that? I know this is more about details of what it can do, but once it does it, where do you draw that line without?
I'll tell you what, let's talk about that and the responsible prompting slide.
Okay.
And if I forget, don't hesitate to remind me. But it is absolutely something we should talk about because you're right, there is an ethical issue here. But it's just tricky, it's very situational right now. So, anyone else? Cool, all right. We'll go move on to the next one. Hallucinations. So this is when the AI tells you that, 2 + 2 = 5 because it can't come up with a better answer, right? So the way to keep hallucinations at a minimum, one, give it good data. Of all of that data that we know it has, you have the best data, right? You know what you need. Ask for sources when facts matter. That's actually something that we do with Adaptiverse. Every lesson that is output from Adaptiverse contains its sources, where it went to find additional information. Based on the provided information in your prompts. So, yeah. So include reference documents. There's an addendum here that I've only noticed in the last, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, I think, because the goal of these platforms is to connect as many data sources as possible, and to get the responses more and more aligned to what you personally want. And so they're able to connect to your Gmail, they're able to connect to your Notion, your G Drive, right? Doesn't do it automatically, you have to do it. But what I've started to see the platforms not do is web search as much. So I have started to say, I need you to go web search for this information. I don't want you to look at my Notion account. I don't want you to look at my Google Drive, because it's starting to look in the wrong places, because it's trying to get more personalized information. So web searching is actually going to be lower on its priority list when it goes out to look for new information. So including reference documentation is really important. And also, even in Claude, which has some of the best tools for references, I've had to say, pay attention to the file I attach to the message, right? Because it's starting to look for information in other places. AI doesn't know what it doesn't know, and your job is to help keep it grounded, and that's going to help you with those consistent outputs. All right, let's go to the next one. Nobody said it'd be easy. So don't paste anything that you don't want used as a meme. For the most part, right, the data that goes into these things there's so much data going in that it's not used. Now, that said, there is one platform I will use, and only one, when I'm working with anything that is moderately sensitive, right? And it's Claude. Claude and Perplexity I will work with. The reason for that is because Claude and Perplexity are made by a company called Anthropic. Anthropic broke with OpenAI because they felt that OpenAI was being too cavalier in terms of safety and guardrails. In terms of service and basic security, Anthropic's much stronger. Now, the challenge there is that ChatGPT's ability to look across conversations and learn about you, which can be an incredible time saver, is much better. So sort of have to balance the two with that knowledge. A lot of times I'll use fake names if I have something moderately sensitive that I need to process, right? So, like angry patient in 2B can become person 2, right? Something like that. But I never take information out of a CRM. I never take personally identifiable information and put it in. I'd stay away from those things. The other thing you need to do is check your organization's AI policy. If your organization doesn't have an AI policy, I can help. Call me. If you work for an agency or a firm and you have clients and you don't know or you don't have on hand their AI policy, you have to get that now. You have to start understanding what their organizations are saying about using AI so you don't get in trouble. Treat every prompt like it's going to go on a Jumbotron, because it might. I think we can all learn a lesson here. And then, there is the question that, and I'm sorry, what's your name? Nicole. There's a question that Nicole brought up about sort of ownership and how do we talk about that? My short answer is transparency, right? At this point, pretty much everyone knows that I use AI to build most of the content that goes out from me, right? But acknowledging that, telling people that you're using it, and explaining how you used it, I've found has been more of a trust driver than a trust breaker, if that makes sense. People appreciate the effort you're putting in to say, this is how this was generated, and then this is where I broke with the AI, and I went my own direction, right? That's very helpful to hear from people, because that also helps people understand where the inflection points are that they might want to jump in as well. Does that help? Great. We could go very deep on responsible use and ethics and everything. But any other questions? Yes.
The syllabus said please wear face masks using artificial intelligence according to the, we've referenced to the safety guidelines. So besides safety, do you have a deeper reason for that? And then like what you said about the fake names that usually I have to put names, I just put like the first letter, or if it's like something like a phone number, I just put, scramble up a little bit. But as far as the using face masks, do you think that the AI or the computer may objectively like see our face? Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like to that point,
I think so.
I thought like Big Brother system going on, or
As in you've been told by organizations not to put photos of your face
no,
in?
no. Well, the syllabus says please wear face masks when using artificial intelligence.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a new one.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to know if since you're into this field, if you know more about it, more a little bit deeper, or what it may mean besides safety. Like, what do you think?
I'm very much a guy who's in favor of face masks when needed.
Okay.
I've never felt the need to use it.
Right.
Now we're going to talk more about that. Now I got it. That is,
all right.
I'm not usually surprised in these, these days. So,
okay. All right.
We'll follow up on that.
Right.
Any other questions about sort of responsible use and how we can be ethical and transparent in how we're using these things? Yeah, cool. All right, let's go to the next one. And then we've got about, 5 minutes left? Oh, 15? Oh. Great, we got plenty of time for Q&A then. So these are different AI platforms that are good for comms. The point here is less about the fact that, these platforms, right? The point here is that AI is going into everything you use now, right? And so if you want to learn how to use it, start with the tool that you're using every day anyway. Learn how to use that AI, just learn your way around it, and then worry about learning the next one and the one after that. I don't hear this said enough, and I think it's really too bad, because we're living in an age where the way we work is being redefined by these things, right? We all got to figure it out. Nobody actually knows what we're doing, right? I feel like the framework that I've presented today is a very valid way of getting better outputs. Tomorrow, there may be a better way, right? And the AI we use today is the worst AI that we'll ever use. So it's only going to get faster and better. And so what you need to be able to do is slow down, focus on the actual work you need to get done, and then learn to use those tools and build it out from there. I just see so many people get overwhelmed with the fire hose of information that's coming at them with these things, right? And I just got to tell people, it's cool. You can slow down. You don't have to keep up with it. Just learn this tool, learn this one. I will tell you, however, and I was telling Anthony about this, Loom has become one of my favorites. The ability of Loom has made it so that I was able to get rid of several other subscriptions, and the AI tools within Loom in terms of like transcripts and follow-ups have been pretty exceptional. So that's not to say you shouldn't learn Copilot in Word, but that's the one I'd pick off of there. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. All right, so and keep in mind that these questions are geared towards a workshop format, which is a little bit different than what we've done today. But what surprised you today? And I'll go first. There was a request to wear a face mask while interacting with AI, and I'm deeply surprised by that. So, what's surprising to you that you've heard today, or new even? Uh-huh.
How you can prompt it to be very specific in what you're trying to the tone, the
Yeah.
variation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really valuable from a business building perspective because you can ask it to write for, you can ask it to write for the target segment that you know walks through your door the most frequently. And you can ask it to write for the target segment that you think would be really interested, but you just haven't reached yet. And then you can test those, right? That's something we're actively doing.
So, okay, if I wanted to do education versus trucking, how would I prompt that?
What are you trying to achieve?
So let's say I wanted to market a flyer
Uh-huh,
to trucking,
uh-huh,
or market a flyer to schools.
okay.
What would be my prompts to put in ChatGPT
Oh, yeah.
to make it different?
Oh, yeah, that's great. So the situation is going to be basically the same. That first one is going to be, this is my business. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying language for different target segments, right? And then got to scroll back up, live my own framework here. Your persona is always going to be a marketing professional with content expertise. That's how I scope that down.
Okay.
Your action verb is going to be write. The result is going to be the, I think in this case, it's going to be more technical, like I need X number of words for the description, I need Y number of words
Okay.
for the call to action, right? The key example is going to be, this is what it typically looks like. This is what my marketing typically looks like, I should say.
Okay.
And one thing that you can do here is you can upload an image of a flyer you've already created. And that can be your key example. Now, where are we going to work in the different target segments? I would put that under.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
No, not at all.
Stomp you.
I'm really thinking through it because, again, this is not a use case that trucking versus education is such a different, yeah, I love it.
Because the only reason why
Yeah.
Pride is not friend in trucking and I'm in education, so that's the reason why.
I was just about to
Yeah.
ask, like, do you have subject matter knowledge here, right?
My friend does, yeah.
Okay, then you know what? Put it in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and say it like, my usual customer is this.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to try writing for this target audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then what might be even more effective, this is all about experimentation too, right? Like I'm not giving you the end all be all, I'm giving you the start to iteration, basically. Then what you might want to do, and I'm going to focus on trucking because I don't know that industry well. I would maybe get a few passages of marketing copy from your friend that they know works well for truckers. And I would put that into the key examples. You can provide multiple examples too. In fact, fully encourage it, right? And then same chat thread. Once you've done that, I would actually say, let's switch gears now. I want you to put on a different hat. I say that to the AI sometimes. And you're still a marketing copywriter, right? But now we're going to focus on education and then sort of have it keep going. Because at that point, it understands what you're trying to do, and you actually save some context by not making it, by not moving to a new thread. Because there are times when you want to move to a new thread, there are times when you want to stay in that thread.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
So does anyone else have a favorite tool or technique that they use with these things? Oh, yeah.
Great. Does anyone else have a favorite tool or technique that they use with these platforms? Yeah. Your face mask.
So
a technique that I kind of use when it comes to like hard subjects like biology, chemistry, stuff, things like that, is like I ask ChatGPT to explain it to me like a 9-year-old.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is really, really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've done that a few times. Sometimes my ego gets in the way a little bit, because it will explain it to me like I'm a 9-year-old, and then I'll go, maybe let's do 5. Like, so you're hitting on one of the things that I think is actually the most valuable opportunities we have with these tools, which is the idea of adaptation and translation, right? So one of the things that I'm actively trying to do right now is build a prompt that channels a certain person who is not American. So we'll say that, but built a huge empire in Europe. And he built it because he can recognize the social dynamics in a situation and blow them up and transform the situation to what he wants it to be. I find that fascinating. I'm an only child. I love rules. I like to stay between the lines when I'm crossing the street. My son will not cross the street until the little blinky guy comes up. I can't do that. I can't think like that, right? I was brought up in Alabama to respect social conventions. Roll Tide, y'all. What I want to do is see those social dynamics and understand how they might be disrupted in order to build my defense, right? In order to look at the situation from the perspective of the person on the other side of the table and understand where they might come from. That technique of telling the AI, explain this to me like I'm 9 or 7 or whatever, is one of the ways of adapting the situation to something you can understand, right? And that's one of the great opportunities we have with these tools to help sort of see the other side of the table. I get really excited about that subject. Anyone else? Favorite tool, technique, anything like that? Let's move on to the next one, Anthony. Oh. So you use it to break down contracts, what they say. Yeah. Yep. Same. Everything that my lawyer has sent me has gone through ChatGPT, actually. Yeah. I mean, right. Yeah, so actually I probably haven't put them through ChatGPT. I put them through Claude most likely. But I would change the name. 3 minutes. Okay, great. And I can follow up more on that. Let's move on to the next slide.
We have one comment here
Yeah.
in the chat. Ash said, I notice the LLMs I utilize, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc., have different strengths for me. I primarily use ChatGPT for ease and general use, which is 95% of the time. But for me, Claude is my go-to if I particularly want clear analyses and deep guidance on my coding.
Yeah, that's right. So it's same actually. I use Claude Code almost every day to vibe code. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay, what's coming next? Search is changing again. If you're an SEO person, you know what I mean. SEO is dead. Long live SEO. We care less about being found by Google than we care about being found in the next version of the LLM that comes out. Prompt libraries are your new playbooks. Organizations that build prompt libraries now are going to win 5 years from now. I would put $1,000 on that at this moment. Agentic AI is coming. Agentic AI is AI that can take actions beyond responding to you, right? So Manus, M-A-N-U-S, I'll throw that on the web page, is a research AI that can go and do multi-step research. It's incredibly effective. Claude Code and agent capabilities and agents in ChatGPT. Claude Code, very advanced. Agents in ChatGPT are there. They're not super effective yet. Do the next one. Q&A. Do we have any other questions that I can answer before I do my very last slide? And I'll be around for lunch if anybody has questions that they want to ask. All right, let's look at the very last slide if you don't mind. Okay, so I've been meaning to do this for literally years. I'm finally doing it. Regular office hours called Mission Promptable. What we're going to do is at least once a month, we're going to have 1 hour where we meet virtually. Please feel free to sign up. This first one, we're going to focus on transforming at least one person's marginally effective prompt into a far more effective prompt. We'll fix it live. What was that famous quote? We'll do it live. We'll do it live, y'all. And I will do that I will do these sessions on a regular, at least monthly basis from there on. If you'd like to reach out, if you have any questions, my information's up there. Literally email, text me. I would love to hear how these tools work for you, frankly. And also, thanks, y'all. This is fun. I love doing this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. I appreciate everybody's attention and super smart questions.
Thank you so much, Jefferson, for a wonderful presentation. I think it was really useful to all of us. I did learn a couple of things myself. So, and yeah, got a lot more questions now. So anyways, a couple of things I would like to remind everybody. So thanks Verizon for sponsoring this guest speaker series. Verizon does pay for the community meal that we are about to have for the in-person attendees. And we also like to thank you and remind everybody that our guest speakers are volunteers. They come here and they volunteer their time and their knowledge and share it with us. So thank you so much for doing that. And just as a small token of our appreciation, there's some Ignite Hub swag for you. Thank you so much for being here. And we really, really appreciate it. Please, let's give another round of applause. This was a great, great presentation and in a very timely subject. Please, before we part, I would like Anthony has already put on the screens the QR code for our survey. Please take 2 minutes to complete it. He also, I think, put the link on the chat for the people that is attending on Zoom. We do look at these surveys. As a matter of fact, we will take the results of the surveys and we will share it with Jefferson. And also, it's very good for us because we want to know, we want to hear from you. Was it this useful? What you want to hear more about these? So we really look at these in planning our events and our lineups. And last but not least, I want to remind everybody that this session is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel within 48 hours. Everybody who registered, if you attended or not, you will get an email with the link for that recording and also a PDF copy of Jefferson's presentation. So once again, thank you for spending your lunch time with us here today. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.